Brace yourself.
Okay, it's 5 o'clock. We start it, please.
This meeting is being conducted in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertisement in the Cape May Star and Wave, on the Township website, and posted on the bulletin boards of Township Hall. We request anyone wishing to address council, please wait for the mayor to recognize you. Please state your name and address for the record, and please remember that all comments must be kept to 3 minutes or less.
Thank you. Please stand for Pledge of Allegiance in a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Conrad?
Here.
Councilmember Coombs?
Here.
Councilmember Roy?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Perry?
Here.
Mayor Sippel?
Here. Okay, right down to the work session with a presentation by Mr. Miola. You please come forward, sir.
I have some handouts for mayor and council.
Sure.
members today.
Yeah.
Give them the I'll take that.
Thank you for having me here this afternoon.
Thank you.
Your membership in the Joint Insurance Fund is due for renewal this year, and we like to come out and spend a few moments with mayor and council, your township manager, your clerk, to talk about the Joint Insurance Fund, just talk about your membership, talk about some of our activities and what's going on in general. So, you know, if you flip over, I'll put my specs on so I can read the page numbers. Flip over to page 2, you'll see that, we continue to have a very strong program. Been running the JIF for 34 years now. What's unique about the Joint Insurance Fund is that it's driven by its members. We provide superior coverage that's geared towards municipal government. It's not, we don't handle body shops or trucking risks or farms, things of that nature. It's all driven by municipalities. Great programs that accompany the coverage of the JIF. I'll talk about those in a minute. And most importantly, what you want from somebody that's covering your risk is the financial stability and strength of the Joint Insurance Fund. If you turn to page 3, you'll see it's almost like a report card on the JIF. This is our loss funding. This is the amount of money that the actuary says has to go into our budget each year to pay the anticipated claims for the fire, the liability, and the workers' compensation. And you'll see we've really kept that number very, very low with very nominal increases, and in some years actually decreases, because the members have really been pulling the rope in the same direction as far as safety and risk management is concerned. If you look at page 4, you'll see Lumber Township's loss ratio. And you want a loss ratio to be more like a golf score, not like a bowling score. The lower, the better. 100% means that the money you're putting into the JIF to pay claims is equal to the money that's coming out. That's 100%. You folks, over a 6-year combined period, are running at a 56.9% loss ratio, which is outstanding. And you'll see the reward for that on page 5. You've actually seen an almost 9% decrease in your loss funding since your last renewal in the Joint Insurance Fund. And if you turn to page 6, you'll see your overall assessment after we factor in the cost for reinsurance and other programs has also declined since your last renewal. So basically your commitment to the programs of the JIF and the safety of your employees has really helped a lot in stabilizing this part of your budget. Page 7, we talk about dividends. Why do we have dividends? We're not an insurance company. Every penny that's not spent on claims and operations in the JIF is returned to its members. And since we started the JIF, we've returned over $44 million in dividends to our members, money that would have been insurance company profits. Just this past year, $3.75 million was returned. We're looking at about the same amount this year. And if you look at Lower Township, you've received almost $2 million in dividends, including $162,000 just this past year that you can use to offset your premiums for the coming year. Page 8, I just talked about our strong and healthy bottom line. You can see our financials here, that right now we have a cash position of over $46 million, a surplus of about $20 million. And that's so very important because you'll see as I talk in another minute, you never know what's coming down the pike. Look at page 9. We never anticipated 18 months ago when we were talking about our budgets, never anticipated the COVID-19 pandemic, the passing of recreational marijuana and its impact on municipal government, some of the statutory changes, the pension offset I'll talk about in a sec, social inflation, a hardening insurance market where the insurance is being more and more difficult to obtain like it was when we started the JIF back in 1987, and also the threat of cyber risk and cyber attacks on your municipality. And that's why it's so important that the JIF has the financial resources to protect you in times like these. If you turn to page 10, I just talk a little bit about COVID-19. We really responded. We mitigated risks for our members by distributing bulletins about COVID, solicitor updates from Dave DeWeese on employment issues related to COVID-19. We also distributed some posters, including the Family First COVID Response Act, and also some other important directives that came down from the state organization, the NJMEL. So we have the flexibility to respond when necessary, and you'll note at the bottom of page 10 there, we've had over, now it's about 800 COVID claims with a total incurred value in excess of $1.281 million, and that's why it's so important that we have that financial backing. So really, these claims have had minimal impact on our financials. If you look at page 11, a new risk that's emerging, recreational marijuana. There's a lot of questions that are coming out. What's going to be the impact on employee matters? Is this going to be a source of land use claims? Also, police very concerned about the varying levels of law enforcement and some of the directives that are coming out of the state attorney's general office not being very clear. And we're working on helping our towns and helping our members resolve some of these issues right now. We've engaged counsel on a statewide basis to help address members' concerns and questions when it comes to this new area. And then on page 11, we talk about some of the statutory changes that have occurred over the past 18 months. Back in December of 2019, the statute of limitations was extended for claims of sexual abuse by minors. These are claims that are federal claims, so our local immunities, the Title 59 immunities, don't apply to these claims. We use specialized defense attorneys in handling them. We have a very strong litigation management program. And most importantly, we put out a program about a year and a half ago called the Protection and Safe Treatment of Minors. It's something for your rec council people and your people that interact with children that can take a training program to discuss about things they should be aware of and looking at, and will also obviously help you in the event that there's an allegation made. And then finally, bullet in the middle of that page, assistance in identifying prior insurers. We have a member of the JIF had a claim presented to them from 20 years old where an individual alleged that they were sexually abused going back 20 years ago. This is before they joined the joint insurance fund, so our coverage didn't apply. But what we did is we helped them identify the insurance company that insured them back then by doing research for them, and we got them to take on the claim. So we also assist in that regard. So obviously the impact of some of these is a little less than we anticipated, but we have started to see a spate of claims come through. And then on the bottom of page 12, the firefighters' cancer presumption. Firefighters under the age of 75 with at least 7 years of service are deemed to have contracted cancer as a result of their firefighting activities. We started to see a few claims come in from that, and obviously, again, because of our financial resources, we are able to handle those claims as they come in. Page 13 talks about an investigation by the State Comptroller's Office that said no more settlements for medical monitoring only under a workers' compensation claim. That means that we now have to take on the responsibility under workers' compensation for the accidental disability pension contributions. And this is also adding to our expenses for the joint insurance funds. So finally, on page 14, you'll see social inflation. You know, I used to say when we started the JIF that, you know, there was an old adage, you can't sue City Hall. Well, you can sue City Hall, and unfortunately, we get lawsuits for people tripping over their own 2 feet. And social inflation, if you look at the bottom of the page, it's general feeling that someone has to pay when there's some kind of damage or injury sustained. So obviously, we face those types of situations as well, and we need to be, remain very much aware of handling those types of cases so they don't get out of hand. Page 15, I talk about the hardening insurance market, and I really like the Time magazine cover there. That's from 1986 when we started the Joint Insurance Fund. Sorry, America, your insurance has been canceled. We've seen a hardening of the market now. Insurance companies are really saying they're losing money because of the natural disasters, the increasing material costs for construction, cyber coverage, and the sophistication of the hackers, liability coverage with judicial decisions and police actions. And this affects not only the premiums, but also the deductibles and copays. So what's important about the Joint Insurance Fund is because we're not an insurance company, we've been able to be resilient. We've modified our program. We've taken more risk in-house rather than pushing it up to the insurance companies to lower the cost. And basically, we've been able to provide the same level of coverage and keep the costs under control. Page 16, I talk about our newest risk, cyber crime. We conduct risk management programs for our members. We've conducted training, online training for your employees on cyber hygiene. We periodically do phishing exercises to see if your employees will click on a link or on a fake email, and when they do, they get a message about why they should be avoiding this type of an email so that you don't get hacked. We also conduct system vulnerability testing to see if you have any open ports in your system where bad actors can get in. We've developed some model policies and procedures for you folks to implement to protect yourselves against cyber criminals. And also, in the event that you did have a cyber breach, we're on it immediately with cyber breach recovery services and professionals to assist you and get through the breach and get you back online as soon as possible. Just remembering that there's a new cyber risk management program that was put out about 2 months ago, and we ask that you adopt it by November 1st so that you can still retain your lower deductibles for this type of coverage. Page 17, we continue to see employment practices liability claims. These are for sexual molestation, or excuse me, for why am I drawing such a blank? But for sexual harassment, things in the workplace, discrimination, things of that nature, hostile work environment. And we've conducted training this spring for your managers and supervisors. We did separate training for your police command staff. We also put out a video that can be viewed by your rank and file employees covering this topic and why it's so important to be aware of the issues that are associated with this type of behavior in the workplace. So we released that program last summer, asking that our members come into compliance by November 1st, 2011, and that'll help keep your premiums low. If you comply with the program, you'll have a lower deductible, lower coinsurance. And also remember at the bottom of page 17, we also have that employment practices liability helpline. You know, if your township manager has a question, somebody's come in, asked for an accommodation under ADA, they want to talk to an attorney, they can pick up the phone on our nickel, talk to Dave DeWeese about it. If Dave needs additional expertise, those attorneys on our defense panel that handle these claims can also provide support as well. Then on page 18, the new stuff, telemedicine. We discovered during COVID, because so many doctor's visits and office visits were curtailed, we started to implement a telemedicine service. We're going to continue to do that where it's appropriate. The Mel Safety Institute Live and MSI Now, that's the Mel Safety Institute. We introduced a whole new area of streaming services for your employees' training. It's available 24/7 with over 130 titles such as ladder safety, eye protection, safe lifting, things like that that can be seen online. And then finally, we have a joint cash management and investment program. Because the GIFs around the state that we network together through the Municipal Excess Liability Joint Insurance Fund, we have literally hundreds of millions of dollars of cash set aside to pay claims. Obviously, investment rates are very low. Working with the state controller and the governor's office, we developed a joint cash management and investment program where we now compete for municipal bonds. What that's done is it's lowered the interest rates by the outside organizations that have been providing these bonds. So we are getting a better rate of return on our investments, and you're getting lower interest rates on your bonds. So in conclusion, I just talk on page 19 that we're here for the long term. The GIF programs are designed to help reduce municipal risk. That's what lowers your premiums. It saves you money. And our programs are tailored for municipal government, the police, your fire, your EMTs, your Department of Public Works, administration, Parks and Recreation, elected officials, and so on. And again, I stress the financial stability and strength of the GIF. So just on the final page, I want to take a moment to thank Karen Fournier, your fund commissioner, for acting as your liaison with the Joint Insurance Fund. All of our correspondence goes to Karen so that she can disseminate it as appropriate. Kathleen Brown serves as your safety coordinator. The safety information, safety bulletins come to Kathleen so that she can make sure that it's discussed at your safety committee meetings. And then when you do have a claim, Colleen Crippen jumps into action. She's your claims coordinator and makes sure that the paperwork is properly filed. And I also want to thank Julie Picard for the years you served as a fund commissioner. And I heard somebody earlier refer to you as the GIF queen. So you've done a great job. I know you're a great mentor for Karen when it comes to the GIF. So I want to thank you very much for having me here this afternoon. Inside the back cover of your booklet, you'll see an overview of the GIF. Talks about a lot of the things I just discussed here this evening. But I'll be happy to answer any questions you have at this time.
Any questions for Mr. Malloy?
No.
Questions?
I've got a good one. Because of COVID, usually you have a yearly elected officials meeting that covers pretty much all this plus some. Does this count as it?
No, actually.
It was worth a shot, $250
Aaron will tell you about that. We did an online program this
Okay.
year. So you did get discounts for doing the online program this spring.
Oh, I'm always looking for that discount stuff.
That's absolutely right. I don't blame you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thanks
You
for
folks
coming
have a
out.
good evening.
You too. now.
Oh, and by the way, Jim Ridgway is your risk management consultant. I apologize, Jim, that I didn't introduce you, but Byrne Agency does such a wonderful job for you folks. They're right here in Cape May County. They're a local insurance broker, but they really do a good job with the Joint Insurance Fund. They make sure that if there's any gaps in coverage in the JIF, like there's certain flood insurance that you need specially, they work on providing that for you, and they gather up a lot of data and stay on top of your program. So I want to thank the Byrne Agency for the great job.
Thank you, now.
All right, thanks.
Okay, we'll move down to consent agenda. Any council comments on the consent agenda?
None.
I'll just quickly comment on two of the bond ordinances. The 2021-17, that was actually reallocation of three earlier bonds we had out there, and we actually combined the money, $3.3 million, to work on roads. And the good thing about that bond, we'll incur no new debt with that bond. So it'll be $3.36 million going to infrastructure. And the ordinance 2021-18, that's money from the Beach Drive ordinance that we did a couple of years ago. We actually rolled some other money in there, and we're going to redirect that money for other projects along the beach, but the main priority will be complete Beach Drive project. Anybody from the public want to comment on the consent agenda? Just the consent agenda. Yes, ma'am, come forward.
My name is Susan Zumar, and I live on Diamond Beach. And I'm interested in the ordinances that you were just referring to, and I would like to know what kind of monies are being allocated towards Diamond Beach area and the drainage and sewer problem we have there.
Well, ma'am, this is a public comment. It's not a question and answer. It's not a debate back and
Oh,
forth.
okay. Well, then
But
I'll
you're
comment.
more than welcome to sit down with the manager
No.
and go over your questions.
No, I will comment. I have in my hand a notice of violation from the DEP that was sent directly to Lower Township. We had a meeting approximately April 6th out on Richmond Avenue area, which we have tremendous flooding there. We have drainage. The stormwater sits in the drains to the very top. No one ever cleans them, and we have a mosquito problem. And I have in my hand now that now the DEP has come in and violated you for many issues pertaining to the drainage. It went certified mail. I have been trying to reach you for quite some time and discuss this. I've come to other meetings, and unfortunately, I have not gotten anything done with it at all. So,
Let Mr. Laffey interject if you don't
Can I
mind.
jump into this one real quick?
surely.
After you met with the DEP and the Road Department Public Works Director, we had since then met with the Mosquito Department. We're pursuing some work out at the end of that road that you're talking about with the mosquito department, because they have permits in place for us to do just that. Because of some of the nesting birds this time of the year, of course, the osprey and things like that, we probably won't get to that work with their assistance until October. But we do have we're working on a plan right now to have them assist us with that particular issue, as well as some of the issues that we have at the end of Seaview Avenue with the flooding down there as well.
What about Richmond Avenue and all these violations? Have you received them?
From the DEP?
Yes.
No, I did
Okay,
not.
There are quite a few violations. If you'd like, you may have my copy.
Sure.
But they are pretty.
I know that they met with,
They also have, if they're not complied within 15 days, they're trying to fine the township $50,000 for each of the items. So I think that, I thought you would have them by now.
What is the date on that? Yeah, and it should have, if it's certified, it should have come to me, and I have not received anything from the DEP
It was dated the 29th,
of June.
June.
and I would not have received a copy personally unless you've received yours.
I have not received anything from the DEP.
Well, I spoke to them, and they sent me a copy, and they said it was sent, and it was received, because when I originally asked for it, I could not get it until it was public knowledge, and you received it. So it was certified. Okay? And the things that we have in that particular area, we have flooding throughout Diamond Beach, and the drains are never cleaned. And I have not been a resident there as long as other people. However, there were other coalitions, and my understanding is for years, they've been trying to get something done about this. We have quite a few problems out there, so,
It doesn't even say who it went to.
I've tried. In the last meeting I actually came to, somebody was supposed to call me, and they never even called me back. So, I would like to know, since all this money is being
I would
allocated,
probably,
we're just-
I can come up with a timeline when we meet again with the mosquito department, because they have
It's
the
not so much,
equipment.
the mosquitoes are an issue, and that's a
Well,
whole
they-
separate issue, but the drainage.
But they can
There's no name.
kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. So
Okay.
I think that some of the things they'll do for just that mosquito control will affect the drainage in that area as well.
Well, the drains need to be totally overhauled. The infrastructure is not correct there. That's what is in the violations. And the maintenance of the maintenance and maintaining the stormwater drainage in Diamond Beach has never been done properly. The drains don't work. That's what I'm trying to say to you. They never worked. I watched the rain come. It has nothing to do with the tide. It has nothing to do with the bay. Other people, if I called your offices, they would say to me over at the township, oh, it's a tide problem. When it's high tide, the water has nowhere to go. The water never drains from the drains anywhere. It doesn't go anywhere. It just sits in the drains, and that's why we have a mosquito problem also. I'm just bringing it to your attention because I know that they have sent these violations to you, and they
There's not
expect...
a name on this. There's no way of verifying. I'm telling you, I do all the mail for the township. We did not receive
Well, what
this.
difference does it make, to be quite honest with you? The problem
Because
is,
you're
we have
talking
a
about a letter
problem.
that we don't even know about.
That went to Public Works. That was served to Public Works.
Well, the thing
Okay,
is-
we'll address it, ma'am.
All right,
We're
thank
going to
you.
address it,
It
okay?
really doesn't matter who received it. The fact that it was sent through-
Well, it doesn't matter that I never received it. Yeah.
Anybody else want to comment on the consent agenda only? Yes, ma'am? You want to come up? You have to come up to the microphone so you're recorded, we can hear you.
I was a school board member for 13 years and another board member for 5, and I was on council shopping.
Okay,
Prior life before retirement.
good for you.
So I know how it goes. My name is Jane Erdo. I live at 423 East Jacksonville Avenue in the Villas. And I figured it's time I start getting involved more so with what's happening in our township, because as you are aware of, there isn't a lot of news that comes out on a regular basis in our township. And so I either get it from neighbors, or I get it from the Herald, or I get it just in other sources, such as the Press of Atlantic City. Now, with that said, you had a meeting on June 21st, I believe, to approve cannabis distribution.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
Okay, but
We're
that's an
not.
agenda item. I figured that was,
It is farther down. Right now, we're actually commenting on the consent agenda, all the information above
want me
that.
to come back up?
Please?
Okay.
Yes.
And do I have to give my name and address again?
No.
You'll remember?
Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody else on the consent agenda only? Okay, we'll close the public portion.
Approval of the minutes from the June 21st, 2021 meeting, resolutions 2021-224 through 2021-237, ordinance 2021-16, this is a bond ordinance providing for various 2021 capital improvements by and in the Township of Lower in the County of Cape May, State of New Jersey, appropriating $730,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $680,000 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Ordinance 2021-17, it's a bond ordinance providing for various roadway and drainage improvements by and in the Township of Lower in the County of Cape May, State of New Jersey, and reappropriating excess bond proceeds in the amount of $3,360,000 to finance the cost thereof. And ordinance 2021-18, a bond ordinance amending bond ordinance number 17-10, which provides for various roadway and sidewalk improvements to Beach Drive, heretofore finally adopted by the council of the Township of Lower in the County of Cape May, State of New Jersey on August 17th, 2017, to amend the description set forth therein. This is the first reading of ordinance 2021-16, 2021-17, and 2021-18. The second reading and public hearing has been scheduled for August 2nd, 2021.
Thank you. Is there a motion to move forward?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Sipp?
Yes.
Ordinance 2021-13, an ordinance amending Chapter 400 Land Development of the Code of the Township of Lower to designate Class 5 cannabis retail licenses and Class 6 cannabis delivery licenses as conditional uses in GB1 and Industrial Zoning District. This is the second reading and public hearing for this ordinance. This ordinance has been published, posted, and made available to the public.
All right, thank you. I'll start the comment from council first. We all know this is a sensitive subject, and not an easy decision with council. But I'd like to remind everybody that this was actually passed in November 2020 election by residents of New Jersey. In Lower Township, the number of voters that voted to legalize recreational cannabis was higher than the state average. And I'm going to give you a breakdown by ward. In Ward 1, Villas being the largest, 2,830 voted yes, and 935 voted no. This is well above the state average. In Ward 2, North Cape May being the largest part of that, Ward 2, 2,719 voted yes, and 1,273 voted no. This is above the state average. Ward 3, Irma being the largest, 3,141 voted yes, and 1,644 voted no. This is at the state average. This comes out to be about 7 out of 10 voters in Lower Township vote to legalize cannabis. The way that the law was written in New Jersey, that council can prohibit a retail store in the township, but we cannot stop delivery into the township. So in other words, if a neighbor in town has a retail store like West Cape May and delivery service, they can just deliver in the township of Lower Township, and there's nothing we can do about it. So that was my input on that ordinance, and I'll pass it to Deputy Mayor if any input on you.
The only thing I have to say about it is that it was a law that was passed by the voters of the state of New Jersey, and obviously the majority of voters in Township of Lower are in favor. So, tough decision for us to make. I'm sure there's people here who want to speak about it tonight, and now would be a good time to voice any opinions.
Councilman Conrad, anything?
I'll be honest, I voted no, but it's here. There's nothing we're going to do to stop it. The only thing I'm looking at this is to hopefully offset the cost that this is going to cost the state, because this is going to come back on the municipalities at some time, because the state's not going to like the competition. I'm just looking at, the only thing that this could possibly help, the people want it, but we're going to need to get money somewhere to offset this, what all the costs that this is going to cost this township and every resident in the state.
Councilman Coombs, anything?
I have no comment.
Councilman Roy?
Nothing further.
Okay, at this time, we're going to open up to the public for public comment on this ordinance.
My name is Reverend Bill Salvia. I live at 41 Tahoe Drive. I've been living down here for about 26 years. I'm affiliated with Calvary Chapel down here. Pastor Schenk is the pastor down here. I've seen this. It breaks my heart, and I know it bothers a lot of you men. And I want you to know something. I've been praying for you, and I think everybody here should be praying for you, for your decisions and your wisdom and what you're doing. I understand what the state has done, and it kind of puts you in a corner. I myself, from 1968 to 1988, was a New York City police officer. That's how I became a chaplain down here and with the men down here. During my first 10 years, I was a narcotics officer. I worked undercover. I was quite young. I had a lot of hair and a lot of beard. I bought a lot of drugs out on the street. By then, a $10 bag of marijuana was a Class D felony. What a shame what has happened to us. What a shame. I worked my way. I bought drugs out on the street. I worked with what we called back then a buy and bust team. I went out, I bought, they came down and they took the bust. This is what we did. I was in court constantly for the 4 years. Every Sunday, I worked on Sundays. I worked on constantly bringing people in that we arrested. I worked my way up, got into, they gave me money. They gave me money I worked over $100,000. I had an informant who took me into what they call today, what we called back then a family. I worked in that family. I started wiretaps. I did a lot of things, a lot of work. I put a lot of people away. And it just irks me today. It bothers me today for all the work I did, all the things I did to put my family in there because we lived in Brooklyn, I worked in Brooklyn, and I worked in New York. To see what's happening to us, how we are taking this cannabis, I know the drug itself. I've seen it. I've worked with people, and I've seen pain brought by it. Its addictiveness will not change. No matter how much we try and do not here to sell it, we're always going to have competition. And the competition doesn't have to go to anybody. They're going to be out there. When you set up a price that you're selling down here, they're going to go lower in the street. And it's going to cause problems. I feel sorry for the police department. They're having a tough time doing what they do out here. There aren't enough men down here to do the work out there that they should be doing. If you're getting any money, that money should go to the police department to build it up. That's where it should go. I just want to say one thing before I sit down. Our prayers go to you. We have a good addiction service over at Calvary Chapel. If you know anybody who has an addictive problem, bring them there. We'll work on it. We'll help them as best we can. This thing happened to me in New York City. Now, I lived in New York. I worked in New York. We had apartment houses. And in the bottoms of the apartment houses, people kept stuff. And this is where they had bins down there. This is where the shooting galleries started. We used to go down and hit shooting galleries in different parts of the city. One day I went into the shooting gallery looking for somebody. We made some arrests. I found 2 young men there, one 18 and one very young. He was OD'd. We had an ambulance come down and get him. I took the young boy till the boy died. I took him down, brought them into the hospital. Later took him down to the morgue, both of them. I ran an ID on the young man, found his family, got him ID'd, got him taken away. The young boy, I couldn't ID. What I did, I went down to missing persons, and down in missing persons, there was a list of young people who run away from home. I looked down that list and I started calling people in. One day, yes, it happened. One day, she came in with her husband, going through the book. Now, in the book, we kept the pictures of all those unidentified bodies in this bog book. I went through the bog book with her, and there he sat. It broke my heart then, and it breaks my heart today, to see the look on her face, to see her young boy dead. And she told me right there, she says, "What happened?" I said, "He died of an overdose of heroin." She said, "I chased him out of the house 2 years ago because he was smoking pot in the house. Smoking pot, and I chased him out." This boy went out, she searched the area, she asked friends where he went, she couldn't find him for 2 years. Here, she came and found him. That cannabis was the step to the direction of the heroin. And that's all I can tell you. God bless you guys.
Thank you, sir.
It's Janie again. And thank you, sir. I appreciated that. I wasn't going to give anything personal. I also, sir, voted no. I'm old. Aging hippie, but I never got into any of that. Okay, so started to tell you about the Press of Atlantic City, and this is where I read this. Now, of course, I could be wrong. Things could have changed between when I read that and now, but the municipalities around us, that surround us, have said no, okay? We are on the verge of saying, oh, yes, come. We want you, we love you. All right, so what the Press of Atlantic City article said was, and I'm reading it because I don't trust myself at this age, regulations, the state, have not published the businesses yet on what the regulations would be. And the towns can opt in later, and most are waiting to see the rules. And so when I read that, I thought to myself, I think this is foolish that we're taking this step here in this wonderful township that I and many, many other people, and I'm assuming everybody in this room, live in. Do we want to be known as the cannabis distributor of South Jersey or the shore area, or what? Do we want to bring in more people for that purpose that will smoke it here? I indicated I had been on a lot of boards in my prior pre-retirement life. Back in the 90s, and I will bore you with this, when the federal government, education-wise, delivered a drug and alcohol education component to be put into the public schools. This was, number one, was the marijuana as the gateway drug. And I truly, truly feel that that is. I've talked to many, many people in my career in New Jersey, in Pennsylvania, in New York, in Iowa, any place that my job took me, and it took me all over the place, of people that have drug problems and people that started off with marijuana. Oh, this is fun, but some people can handle it. Some people can handle it, like some people can handle a beer or two or three or maybe four. Some people can't. They get the buzz. They can't control that buzz. They want a bigger buzz. And they lead into other drugs. And those drugs take them down a path of no return unless they're really, really lucky. And they finally realize, I'm at rock bottom in my life and I don't want to be here anymore. Now, I understand what you've said, is that the citizens of this state have approved it, okay? That doesn't mean that we have to approve a distribution center. So I really want you to think hard about that and at least maybe, wait until the state publishes those regulations or gives you an advance copy that your attorney can scrutinize and see where it leads us into this township and what kind of possible liability is going to occur from that. And that's what I wanted to tell you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Come forward, please.
My name's Deborah Pavone, and I live at 3316 Bay Shore Road. And I agree with what everybody's saying, and I pray for our country. We're in a mess. But, I mean, I want to know one thing. What good could this bring to our community? I mean, there's got to be something that we could take this. I mean, it's already the cat's out of the bag. Nothing you can do about it. What good could we do for our community if we brought this in with tax dollars and things like that? That's what I wanted to know. Is there any plans for, to do anything good?
We're not there yet, ma'am.
Oh, okay.
We're not there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Tom Lucius, 2 Goldenrod Court. I'll start off at the beginning. I served in the Navy in the 80s. Was part of several drug busts for some ships bringing drugs into the United States. So I had to first, when Colorado started to adopt these policies, think twice. This was back in 2009 and 10 when they had first talked about it. It felt kind of strange to have to fight off illegal drugs. And then as they started to legalize it, and I educated myself on it, having 2 sons and my son-in-law, all part of law enforcement, we discussed it quite intensely. Then educating myself and learning what the positive effects were of marijuana, THC, the cannabinoids, all that. There's quite a bit of research people need to do. First of all, let me correct a couple things that were stated. Both the CDC and the Epidemiological Society do not classify this as a gateway drug. It is no way a great gateway drug. It has no effect at all to future drug use. It is safe to use. People get this conception that everyone sits around and smokes it. Majority of the people that use recreational marijuana use it as an edible, either in the form of gummy, cookies. All the products are labeled with the content as would a prescription be. So you can buy a 500 milligram package of Oreos, and it tells you what the recommended dose would be. You may only need to take 5 milligrams. I'm sure most people in the room have sat around and said, I need a drink at the end of the day, or I'm going home to have a glass of wine and relax. It's the same principle. Because it was classified so long as an illegal substance, illegal drug, people have the misconception that it's harmful. No one has ever overdosed on marijuana. That's a fact. It is no way near a gateway drug for other use. If the fact is that people don't want a medical or recreational marijuana store in the town, then we should do away with all liquor stores. There's no reason to stop it. It provides a safe haven for people who are of age and legitimate to purchase safe product. I know for a fact in the township, we've had several cases of tainted marijuana, cocaine, and heroin. Street dealers can put whatever they want on it. If I choose at my age that I wish to use recreational marijuana at night, I need a safe outlet to purchase it. That would be what Lower Township presents. Someone asked earlier about what good it can do. The revenue that goes to the town, states like Colorado, Oregon, California, all of their shops contribute to the recreational facilities for children, help the elderly with the Meals on Wheels program. That's aside from the tax revenue that's produced. As you stated earlier, Mayor, there's other towns like West Cape May that are already approving it. Several of the shore communities and other towns neighboring us have decided not to. It's not that simple. I'm very familiar with the ordinance and the laws that have come out with the state. You can't just opt in when you feel like it. It's about a 5-year wait. They're not just going to open the door back up. We're missing a great opportunity to capitalize on revenue from this and do good for the community, provide a safe haven for people to purchase it. With the regulation comes more law enforcement, because with these shops that you have opening, believe me, whoever owns them will be turning the people in that'll be selling it illegally. Right now, I can give you several websites you can go to and have it delivered to your door within 24 hours. So we're not stopping anything. We are gaining a lot by having it and the revenue that it produces for the township. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
Good evening. Hugh Giordano, 57 Argyle Avenue, Blackwood, New Jersey. I'm here today as a representative of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW Local 152. We have approximately 15,000 members here in South Jersey, and we are the official cannabis labor union, represents cannabis workers from seed to sale, both medical and adult use. These jobs create good living wage jobs in cannabis. They come with a living wage, health care, sick time, vacation, paternity leave, retirement. These are careers. These are not part-time boardwalk jobs. These are jobs where families will move here and actually pay taxes and be part of society. On top of that, cannabis jobs are well-educated jobs. Workers in the facilities, whether it's from seed to sale, have degrees in botany, horticulture, chemistry. We even have pharmacists that work their front house already in the dispensaries, in the retail sections. So these do not attract what you see on HBO or Showtime. This is not a movie. This is real life, a billion-dollar industry, and the workers are part of that. One of the things I want to understand, that people to understand, is that in New Jersey, in our unionized facilities, we actually have retired police officers who were union members and are now union members again, using all their skills and talent over these years to make those facilities safe at the cultivation sites and at the retail sites. There are armed retired police officers. To say that they will get it, the kids will get it, or it's going to infect the community, it's we don't disparage our members in alcohol, represent Bacardi and Jim Beam. When they're delivering alcohol to a bar or to a restaurant, we don't look at those workers and disparage them and say they're going to give it to children or that's going to get into the hands of kids. They're adults just like these cannabis workers are. When you go into the supermarket at a ShopRite or an Acme that we represent, you don't go to the pharmacy and think that that pharmacy tech is going to give out medication at the back door. Because why? They're adults and they have a career. It's the same thing with cannabis. These folks that plan to get into cannabis plan to be there for 25 years to get their union pension. That's what they plan on doing. So, and the real gateway is the drug dealer. When you're young, you can afford cannabis. You get a little bit older, get a job, that guy's pushing something else on you because he thinks you're your buddy. In the cannabis facility, you can't even enter unless you're 21. You get your license checked twice, and there's cameras that go directly to the state police. 24 hours, 365 days a year. So it's more protected than a bank, it's more protected than a Rite Aid or a CVS at this moment, a dispensary or a cultivation site. So the UFCW supports this, and the NJ Building Trades is also doing the retro and build out of these facilities. So carpenters, IBEW, steam fitters, these are union jobs from shovel to sale. Shovel to sale, middle class jobs. South Jersey needs these jobs. The working class needs these jobs. The people voted for this. The working class voted for these jobs. So the UFCW asks you to support this. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing before I leave. You see this book? In it, it says, the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. Anybody else want to comment? Yes, sir. Come on up.
Good afternoon, Frank Montefusco, 205 Birch Road. I moved to your town about 2.5 years ago. I was born and raised in Wildwood, New Jersey, 25 years. Moved away, had a good career. About 8 years ago, I became disabled. I was a practicing attorney in the state of Florida. I made boatloads of money. I can't do that anymore. I have no discs in my back. I have no discs in my neck. It is hard to stand up here and even talk to you. But I can tell you this. If it wasn't for medical marijuana, I would be dead today. You You want them to keep prescribing pills? Not the answer. I never took pills. You have enough of that problem already in this town. You have enough problems in this town already with illegal marijuana. Okay? Let's face the facts. Facts are 70% of the people decided that they want to legalize marijuana. Now, you can do the right thing, and you can put some money into the taxpayers' pockets. Or you can allow it to go somewhere else. Because it will. You think the towns up the road are going to wait? You think they're going to wait while everybody else cashes in? And while some people sit here and tell you it's a gateway drug, it's this, it's that, wake up. I believe in marijuana because of the medical benefits. But if we're going to have alcohol, and I see the people going to the Villas liquor store, in and out, in and out, in and out. What are they doing? What are they doing? They're killing the pain. Whatever pain they may have, they're killing it. Villas liquor store is making money. Villas and Lower Township are making money. It's about time that everybody woke up and realized marijuana isn't the boogeyman anymore. Okay? It just isn't. Do the township a favor. Make them some money. Lower the taxes. Put it to good use. Put it toward the police. I wasn't here earlier, unfortunately. I didn't hear all the people that spoke. But I can tell you this. If the concern is all the drugs and all the crime and all the people that'll be driving on the roads drunk, well, wake up, people. That's what's happening every day. You think by allowing recreational marijuana that anything's going to change? I think not. I think you should look up and down some of your streets here in the Villas. And I think you should see some of your neighbors that are dealing and selling illegally and pocketing all the money. Now, you all, you can do the right thing. You can make it good for the township. You can make it good for the city. It's up to you. How you want to use the money, again, that's up to you. But don't sit here and be foolish for 1 second and think, oh, if we don't have recreational marijuana, we'll be a city unto ourselves. That boat sailed long ago. I understand that this divides communities. But when a county and a township like ours decides to vote 70 to 30%, all I can say to you gentlemen up there, I suggest you listen to the citizens. They know what they're talking about. Why give the money to somebody else? Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? We'll close the public portion. Do we have a motion to move forward with this ordinance? I'll make a motion to move forward.
Second.
Second. Councilmember Conrad?
Yes.
Councilmember Coombs?
Yes.
Councilmember Roy?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Perry?
Yes.
Mayor Sippel.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2021-14, an ordinance amending Chapter 432 mercantile licenses, specifically subsection 4, annual fees for mercantile licenses of the Code of the Township of Lower in order to establish annual licensing and registration fees in relation to cannabis retail and delivery businesses. This is the second reading and public hearing of this ordinance. This ordinance has been published, posted, and made available to the public.
Okay, thank you. Any council comments on this ordinance?
No comment.
No. Anybody from the public want to comment on this ordinance? Yes, sir.
Mike Rosenberg, Villas, New Jersey. I think last meeting I asked about how much the fees and licenses were going to be. It looks to me like this ordinance addresses that. Do we know how much it's going to be? Did we get any information from the state saying, guidelines saying we can charge more than $2,000 a year?
No, right now we have a set fee already. Mr. Belasco, you have it in front of you, the ordinance?
Yeah, as it stands right now, the fee for retail cannabis licenses and delivery licenses would be $2,000. The bill, which the state adopted back in doesn't specifically address caps, maximum cap, minimum cap.
To me, like this is all going to pass. Is there going to be a timeline for this? When do you think they're going to actually be selling marijuana in Lower Township?
If I can-
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Rosenberg, right now, we're essentially waiting for the Cannabis Regulatory Commission to issue additional nuanced rules and regulations governing the licenses. The bill does a significant job, and it goes into great detail in terms of all the general rules and regulations which will govern these individual licenses. No licenses, as I understand it, and pursuant to this bill, will be issued until the Cannabis Regulatory Commission enacts their rules. Now, they're under the same guidelines and timeframes that municipalities were under. They had until August 23rd to either municipalities opt in or opt out. The Regulatory Commission is supposed to release their additional rules and regulations by August 23rd as well. Once they're released, it'll probably be several months before the commission gets up and running and starts to vet applications and release and issue licenses to individuals who are interested.
Thank you.
Thank you, now. Anybody else? Yes, sir.
My name is Bill Bajenic at 302 East Jefferson. I just have a quick question. The fee for the license for cannabis, is that equal or less or greater than what would be for a liquor license? I'm just curious.
I'll let Mr. Belasco, it's the same.
I think it's the same.
Yes.
I think that was the idea,
just had
until we get direction from the commission.
Yes.
That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
Hugh Giordano, UFCW. Just wanted to